Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday evening. Hey, Heather, whatever. Hey, Sam. Hey, Vincent's missing ear. Hello, Anaphylaxis. Hello, Molson Man. Hi, Max 2002. Good to see you. Amelia Sparkles. Nonstop Mom. Hi. Glad everybody's here. Okay, first I'd like to say that I'm incredibly saddened to hear the news about Olivia Newton-John. When I was young, like, I don't know, I remember being at Happy Trails daycare, but they also had a private kindergarten, and I feel like I was in kindergarten. So I was probably like 5 or 6. And it was my very first sleepover. And the girls were like, we're going to watch Grease. And I didn't get it. I was like, what? Why are we watching Grease? Are you frying pop? What are you frying? I didn't understand it. Right. So I get there and we watch it. And I just completely fell in love with that movie. And I completely fell in love with Olivia Newton-John. So much so that that next summer, we were at the beach, my family and I, and I told the kids on the beach that my name was Sandy because I didn't want to be a Jen. I wanted to be a Sandy. So I'm incredibly saddened to hear that she lost her battle with breast cancer. It's terrible. Cancer's sad. So now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about what happened today. So this morning, court starts, and they put on the state puts on a FBI agent who was in charge of surveilling one of the brothers' homes. That's the home in Justin, Texas. And that testimony was interesting because they used, trying to remember what the term that they used was. Something like, I think they said cognizant surveillance. And I guess that's when the subject or subjects are aware of the surveillance, and it appeared that they were, because what they were doing is they were not putting their garbage out on the curb, because everybody knows that once the garbage is out on the curb, it's public domain, and they don't need a search warrant to search it, right? So they were watching them, and they ended up following um, the RAV4 to see where it was going, and it was driving to South Lake, which also isn't far, or it's all kind of right there. And plus, I have to say, I got to shout out to Texas. Texas has one of the best road systems anywhere, except for 35. Okay, so they're always working on 35, always, especially around the Austin area. They've been working on that part of 35 for like 7 years. I think they've been working on it since I was 18. I don't even think they're finished now. But that's beside the point. Anyways, that's why it doesn't take long to get any place in Texas. You can go. I mean, Texas is a huge state, but they got great road systems. So, freeways everywhere. So you really hardly have to be in stop and go traffic. Anyway, that's not even the point. So they follow them, they collect the trash, and eventually they end up apprehending Yaser Saeed. And the thing is that they showed there were these like, it was a piece of drywall. They made this little cubby, and like some bootleg Harry Potter cabinet under the stairs, but no stairs. And it was like this piece of drywall, and it had a handle on it so that you could pull it into place to hide. So they had him on, and then they bring on the another FBI agent who was in charge of explaining the cell phones. Not so much what was on the cell phones data wise. I mean, they did talk about phone calls, which wasn't all that surprising, because it was pretty much how Edgar testified, how Eric testified, even how Patricia testified about the calls. So, but the interesting thing was the cell tower, and they were using 2008 data and technology, not 2022, 2020, or 20, in none of that. It was all from 2008, and about the cell towers. And essentially what came out about that, the huge takeaway was that there was a pattern where Sarah and Yasser's phone were phones were pinging off of the same towers up until the point when Sarah dials 911, at which point Yasser's phone is pinging, but it's 2.5 miles away in the other direction. So they get him off of the stand, and we're all sitting in here watching, right, like we do, and preparing for their next witness. Because what we were really kicking around while they were taking breaks and having sidebars and stuff like that is, are they going to call Joseph Moreno and his mother? Will the state call them? And we were sort of just kicking it around. And I was of the opinion that I didn't think they would, only because I felt like their participation in the documentary, although I thought it wasn't like horrible or whatever, but you know how on cross-exam it can be twisted. So that happened. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting. We're thinking, okay, are they gonna, right? So we're waiting, talking back and forth, yada, yada, yada. Bottom line is, hold on a sec. The state ends up resting at the last person to testify. Hold on, I want to get to this part. Give me just, I'm scrolling through because I'm trying to find the place I want you guys to watch. Anyway, so we're all watching, and then all of a sudden, the state rests. And we're all like, what? Yeah. Okay. So then comes this part, which I'm getting to for you guys. Give me just 1 second here. I was shocked. I thought they were going to put more witnesses on. I really did. Um, I thought that this would be a longer trial, only because for on the state's part, only because it's complicated, and they really didn't have any eyewitnesses that put Yaser and the girls in that taxi cab together. What they had, though, was the cell phones and where they pinged. So that was pretty good. Um, that was good testimony. And then, of course, the defense is the guy that did the surveillance, right? They're cross-examining him, and they're asking him questions about Eric Ruiz and whether or not the FBI cares if the original issue, which is what kicked off the felony flight, um, the felony absconding or whatever it was, charge. So they is asking him, does the FBI even look to make sure that the state's case is good before they go ahead and waste all this manpower on, um, the helicopters and the surveillance and all of that? And I'm, like, I'm making my commentary because I'm thinking, I just said what I was thinking. Look, this FBI agent was hired to do a job. Okay. A felony warrant was issued for 2 counts of capital murder against Yaser Said. He has dual citizenship and a passport and resources. So I gave the example, if it were me, right, and I committed a crime similar to this, there was a felony warrant for capital murder, 2 counts of capital murder against me, and I absconded. Would the FBI be called out? Probably not, and this is why. First of all, I don't have I don't have a passport. Second of all, I don't have the resources on my own to get to another country, and I don't know anybody with those kind of resources. So maybe they would, because I do have family in Mexico, which, if you're listening, FBI, I don't know any of them. But, they were trying to make it as if they were more interested in prosecuting Yaser Said because he is Muslim than because he is a murderer. And it was just kind of, it was annoying and irritating. But I get why they're doing it. I mean, I get it. It just was annoying. Okay. So the state rests, and now I'm fixing to share what happened. Okay. Are you all ready? Have y'all braced yourselves? All right, here we go. Oh my God, I'm going to be so mad if I muted it. Oh no, they muted it. This is not a Jen Lou thing. Okay, hold on. Why is it not going forward?
The record reflects that the defendant is present with his attorneys, the state is present, and we are outside the presence of the jury.
Your Honor, at this time.
1 second. At this time, the court will admit State's Exhibit number 254 for demonstrative purposes only. Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense will move for an instructed verdict. The state has wholly failed to prove venue and the constituent elements of the offense. No one was able to testify that the murders occurred in Dallas County, and there's a complete absence of proof that our client is the person who committed the alleged offense. The 911 call is unintelligible, nor has anyone directly identified the caller's voice, and the state has a gaping unaccounted for time frame between the last time the defendant and the complainants were seen driving in a taxi and the time frame of the discovery of the complainant's bodies. The state has failed to make a prima facie case in its case in chief, and we would move for an instructed verdict of not guilty.
Thank you. What's the state's response?
The state's response is, if you haven't done so already, could you give Jen Lou a thumbs up, please?
The evidence is to be viewed in the light most favorable to the non-movement, which is the state. We need to prove the scintilla of evidence to survive a directed verdict. In this case, Your Honor, you've heard from several
Oh, the
witnesses
closed captions aren't
that we
available,
have
you
met,
guys. Sorry.
the venue element, as just stated by this Agent Sedgwick, during his testimony, he testified that all of the cell towers were hitting up in Dallas County, Your Honor. We had several of the officers testify that where the girls' bodies were found was in Dallas County. Venue, I believe, properly says it can be where the murder happened or where the bodies were found. And in addition, I believe.
Okay. So after watching the documentary, I think they most certainly should have been called. See, but had they been called, right, the documentary would have come up, and specifically that part where Edgar was essentially the stand-in for Joseph Moreno. See, that would have complicated this case for the state if they brought Joseph in, and they can't bring Joseph. They couldn't just bring his mom in, because then she would have been subject to cross-exam, in which they would have talked about her son and her son's relationship with Amina. And I think it would have been too. I think that the claim in the documentary that Edgar was supposed to be a stand-in would have really muddied the waters, and it really may have potentially given reasonable doubt. Like perhaps Edgar really did care for Amina, and perhaps Edgar was not on board with being the stand-in for Joseph, meaning that he was intended to be a patsy, I guess is the best way to describe it, because the surrogate, maybe, because the idea was after it was safe, Amina and Joseph would reunite. And I think that the defense would have argued, I would have if I were a defense attorney, that gives Edgar Ruiz motive. You know, that maybe he was really in love with Amina, as he has testified to, and he did care about her, and he didn't want her, and he found out that she intended to reunite with Joseph and she was using him. See, I think it would have given them reasonable doubt. And remember, the state never knows whether or not the defendant is going to testify until the day that the judge will ask. You know what I'm saying? Once the state has rested, they don't know until they've rested. There's always the potential, but they never know for sure. So there you go. Okay, let's keep going. That's just what I think.
Defense counsel mentioned an issue with venue as well as identifying the defendant, I believe, was an issue. And I believe that several people have identified the defendant, as well as the victims identified the defendant in the 911 call. It's very audible. It's very clear to understand that she said, "My dad shot me." I don't think there's any issue there.
Thank you,
I
Amelia.
can't recall all of the issues that defense counsel presented, Your Honor, but as to each and every element, I believe we presented more than enough evidence to submit this to a jury.
I appreciate that.
That's a motion. The defense motion for a directed verdict is denied. Are there any other matters the defense wishes to take on outside the presence of the jury?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. The defense ready to proceed?
I'm going to speed this part up because this is a lot of whispering and wasting the court's time. Like, bruh, you should have been prepared. But I don't want to mess with it on the like the skipper part, the red bar, because y'all know how I could be getting overzealous on the skips and end up missing. And I can't use the closed captions to guide me because they're not available for whatever reason. They were available this morning. Well, thank you, Amelia. I like to think of loopholes. You know, when I was a kid,
Yaser Said.
that's kind of what
And
I
we would
did.
like to hash out ahead of time the parameters of his Fifth Amendment rights.
Okay. Do you want the court to admonish him, or do you want to put certain things on the record before?
Well, I think what we specifically wanted to discuss was that he will be testifying to a certain time frame, and we want to put the state on notice that he's only going to be testifying to this certain time frame, and he understands that he waives his Fifth Amendment privilege to the extent that it's required to be waived for that time frame. He will be asserting his Fifth Amendment right as it relates to anything having to do with the federal indictment. So I guess what we want to do is get this out there before he starts testifying and see if you will, I guess, make a ruling that he will be allowed to.
Oh,
assert
yeah,
his
and me
Amendment
too,
right as it
nonstop
pertains to
mom.
anything involving the federal charge, and that the scope of the cross-examination will be limited to what he puts in dispute through his testimony. And I have a couple of cases on that. Brown v. United States, which admittedly is a 1958 case, but it was still good
Oh,
law,
excuse me.
cited as recent as 2020.
Sorry, you guys.
About how the witness can put the issue in dispute and the scope of cross will be limited to what he has put in dispute.
Would you submit that,
Yes,
copy
I'd
of
be
that
happy.
case to the court?
And then we also wanted to put the court and the state on notice of 608D, which is a rule of evidence that does not allow the state to cross-examine a testifying witness with extraneous acts. Now, to the extent that he puts something, there may be exceptions to that, but they cannot impeach him with extraneous bad acts unless it's a conviction. And that's rule of evidence 608B, and I have a case on that as well.
Okay. Would you
That's
cite that?
Rivera v. State.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Rivera v. State.
Okay, so basically here, let me push pause because I don't want you guys to miss this. This was kind of interesting to, well, all of it was interesting to me. So basically, what they're saying here is that Yaser Said is going to testify. He's going to take the stand in his own defense. But he will only be testifying to a time frame that is up to and including January 1st, 2008. That he will not be answering any questions about where he was from January 1st, 2008 until August, I believe it's 23rd or 26th of 2020 when he was finally apprehended. Doesn't want there can be no she doesn't want her client to be asked about that specific time frame, and her reasoning for that is that he still has federal charges he's facing, and so she does not want the state during cross-examination to ask him questions that could cause him to incriminate himself. But it's a catchy thing because I think I'm going to Google this, but I think as a defendant, you are not required to take the stand in the same way as if you were a witness and you were subpoenaed by one side or the other, right? You don't, as a defendant, you have the right not to take the stand. Okay. So if you do take, oh, for Pete's sake, if you do take the stand, then you waive your Fifth Amendment right. So I'm going to look that up. Can a defendant take the stand in their own defense and plead the fifth. All right. Hold on, let me get this out of here. All right. Let me go back to this, and I'm going to push play while I'm looking this up.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, you may. Anything else?
Okay, I was right. Pleading the fifth is an all or nothing right, meaning you cannot choose to take the stand and then
Yes,
plead the
record
fifth.
will so reflect. Is there anything else before I ask for the state's response?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. What's the state's response to the defendant's requests or assertions regarding limiting scope of cross-examination if the defendant chooses to testify, and Rule 608B?
Well, Your Honor, we object to limiting the scope of cross-examination. Now, as regards to the federal harboring offense, I don't think we have an issue with that. But as for the offense from which he's being tried for, I would like to direct defense counsel to Rule 611 in Texas Rules of Evidence. 611B, scope of cross-examination, a witness may be cross-examined on any matter relevant to any issue in the case, including credibility. Your Honor, we'd like some time to research these cases. We have a case here from 1958, and we just like some time to research and respond, but we object.
Oh, I want to
to being
explain
limited
something
to,
else. Hang on just
the
one
scope of
second.
cross-examination.
Okay, so this rules of evidence situation that they're talking about here, as far as it pertains to his cross-examination, what they're saying there is they don't want him to be questioned about the essay allegations because he was never convicted of it. That's what they're trying to keep out. Also, in addition to where he was for 12 years.
If the defendant testifies, and I believe we are able to get into any matter that's relevant for this trial. Your Honor, I mean, just for clarification on the harboring case, Yasin and Islam, we put on a lot of evidence of that. We're not going to be asking him questions about Yasin and Islam, but the fact that he hid for 12 years is extremely relevant to this case. It shows consciousness of guilt. We should be able to ask him reasons why he hid for 12 years. I don't think we should be precluded from getting into that testimony as well.
Reasons why is one thing. Where he was, who helped him, that's totally different.
I think we should be able to get into that as well, Your Honor.
No,
That's extremely
we
relevant to the
disagree.
case.
Indeed,
Well,
anaphylaxis.
If the defendant takes the stand, the state is going to be able to cross-examine him on any relevant issue. That includes whether or not he was hiding from law enforcement, how he was found and detained, and every other thing or matter that is relevant to this capital murder case, if he chooses to take the stand.
But the court understands that the federal government still has an indictment pending against this defendant for running, basically.
I understand that.
Okay?
That's an integral
Has
part of,
nothing to do with
Mr. Lawler, would you wait till I finish?
Sure.
Okay. Now, that seems to me to be an integral part of the state's case that Mr. Saeed was on the run, allegedly on the run. And they ought to be able to cross-examine him on that and the fact that he was found. So the state is going to be able to cross-examine him on that.
He's not our exception to the court's ruling.
The record will so reflect. All right, is the defense ready to proceed?
And we have a moment to talk with our client, and the state has requested time to research the issue.
Does the state need further time to research this issue?
My understanding, Judge, is that you made a ruling that we can get into any relevant matter. If that's the case, then he's open to subject to cross-examination, and we don't need any time.
All right, Mr. Lawler, I'm going to give you and your team another 10 minutes.
Thank you.
So please be back here at 11:40.
All right. So then they go to lunch. Oh, too much. See, this is what happens.
Mr. Said out first.
Okay. The last thing that they asked for before they went to lunch is, and this is standard operating procedure, was that their client not be made to take the stand in front of the jury because he is shackled. So, all right, here we go.
And line up the gun.
I really wish that I could have closed captions on with this. I'm so upset about this situation.
Your Honor, do you want us to take this stand?
Yes, thank you for reminding me.
Well, right, Vincent's missing here. Either he's going to take the stand or he's not going to take the stand. Either he's going to be he can't just get his side of the story out, right? Without anybody asking him follow-up questions.
Your Honor, may I approach the bench as well? There's photos on the bench as well. We're going to take down.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Submit all the exhibits.
Like you
to the-
can't have your cake and eat it too.
Thank you.
All right. And Ms. Holt, would you give him a clear mask?
Yes,
Oh, he does?
Amelia.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you mind moving that monitor, counsel? Okay. And he can remain seated. Yes, that's fine. I'll have him sworn in front of the jury, but he can remain seated.
Okay, thank you.
At first, when I watched this afternoon, and I watched him walk to the stand, I forgot that he's shackled, and I was like, "Why is he like hobbling?" And then I remembered because he's shackled.
Please be seated. We're on the record. Reflect that the defendant is present, as are his attorneys. The state is present, and the jurors are present and seated. Mr. Said, would you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you swear that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
أحلف أقول الحقيقة كل الحقيقة ولا شيء غير الحقيقة اليوم ليوفقك الله. نعم أو لا. Yes.
Thank you. Defense may proceed.
I wonder if I
You want
can.
to swear in the
Hang on a sec.
She's already been sworn, have you not, ma'am? Earlier on?
Not at this, not today, but in the
Yes,
beginning
she's
of the
still under
trial.
oath.
Yes.
Yes, you may.
Yaser,
Your Honor, may I place this, it says the word Arabic on it as a reminder for the defendant to keep his statements in Arabic for the clarity of the records, as a
Okay.
reminder?
Well, let me admonish him then.
Thank you.
Mr. Said, if you will interpret at the same time as I am speaking, you are to speak in Arabic only, okay?
yes.
So that your interpreter will interpret from Arabic to English, so as not to cause any confusion of the record.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Defense may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, I gotta let my pupster out.
Could you please state your name and spell?
So
it
no
correctly?
commentary, but I'll be in the chat. Y'all behave. Molson man, you're in charge.
Yaser Said,
And then could you spell it for the record?
Yaser
سعيد SAID.
SAID.
Yaser, where were you born?
اتولدت في سين.
Sinai.
And what country is that located in?
أي بنات؟
مصر.
Egypt.
When did you move to the United States of America?
أنت جيت على أمريكا.
تقريبا في أوائل ال 80.
In the beginning of year 83.
Do you recall which year you became a naturalized citizen of the United States?
أنت صرت أمريكي جنسية. I don't remember.
Okay, was it, but you are a naturalized citizen of the United States?
ولكنك أنت مجنس مع جنسية أمريكية صحيح. Yes, I am.
Now, during your time here, you later met and married Patricia, correct?
Yes.
And you had your 3 children together.
Yes.
Now, fast forwarding a little bit, I believe we should discuss what happened on January 1st, 2008.
بنرجع شوي ل 1/1/2008.
Can you explain to the jury? Let's start with that afternoon when Amina comes home.
نرجع للمساء 2008 لما رجعت أمينة على البيت.
كان قابلتهم عادي يعني مفيش مشكلة. كنت عايز أحل المشكلة معهم.
I met them normally, like always, and I wanted to solve the problem.
And by the problem, you mean you were upset that they had run away with these boys and who specifically they were dating at that time.
أنا كنت زعلان لأنه كانوا أصدقائهم الصبيان صحيح.
بالطبع لأن ده الصراحة وكنت زعلان من
Did the interpreter move forward to the table? Yes, so that Mr. Saeed thought that she was wrong.
Yes, I was upset because in my culture it's something to get upset about.
But Yaser, you did not kill your daughter, did you?
For sure did not.
Now, what happens after Amina gets home? Where do y'all decide to go?
So we took the 121 and then took Highway 14.
Okay. Let me back up just a little bit. You were not going to dinner. You were just going to drive around to talk to your daughters about what was going on now. Is that correct?
I was planning to take them to dinner and have a talk over the dinner, but I felt somebody was following me, so I could not continue.
At what point do you, if you remember, and I know this is a long time ago, but how soon after you left the home did you feel like you were being followed?
ما حسيتش بيهم في 121 لكن لما دخلت 114 حسيت ان في سيارة.
When I was going down 121, I didn't suspect anything, but when I went on Route 14, I felt somebody was following me.
Did you discuss this with your daughters?
حكيت لنا.
قلت له في شعر في سيارة او اكثر من سيارة بالطريق.
I told them, I think there is one car or more than one car following us.
Who, did you have any idea who you thought might be following you?
مين اعتقد لها؟
بالليل السيارة اللي وراك تشوفي النور تشوفي الوصف السيارة يعني تشوفي لايت بس تشوفي نوع السيارة ومين.
Because of the headlights, you could see a car, you could see there's people in the car, but you cannot tell who is in the car.
At this point, what decision do you make because you're feeling like you're being followed?
خدت مسار من 114 باتجاه اللانش في كلوب اسمه لانش. في كان ستاند ان كيس مساعدة.
I took the 114 and then I went toward the Lodge Club because it has a cab stand in case I needed to stop.
Were you familiar with other drivers that were frequently at the lodge cab stand? You weren't going to the facility, right? You were going to the cab stand.
ما كنت داخل على البناية، كنت داخل على الكاب ستاند صحيح.
كنت داخل عشان شوف مين في الستاند
I was seeing who is in the stand, and I saw no cars. The stand was empty.
Okay. Why was it important to you to have witnesses at this location? Why were you choosing to first go to this location?
لأن أظن في عارفين صحابي وفيش شيء من الأمان، يعني شعور بالأمان ألجأ لناس أعرفهم.
I would know many of the people there. They are my friends.
Okay, while we're watching, all right, I want you guys to take notice and watch how the interpreter interacts with Mr. Saeed, and then think about how the maintenance man's interpreter interacted with him. So when the maintenance man at the apartments that Islam was living in, he had an interpreter too, and she stood relatively where this interpreter is. However, the difference was I could hear every single word that she was saying as she was translating the state and then later on cross the defense's questions. The translation between the questions being asked and relaying them to the witness were very clear. They were audible. And his answers were also clear and audible. I don't understand how they're getting away with doing this, but I'm not saying that I think that she is not translating what he is saying word for word. I don't know because I don't speak Arabic. Now with the maintenance man, I can speak a little Spanish, but I do understand it. And so I knew she was translating, and she was actually translating it word for word, not like I gave you the example of like the key. She said, introduce the key into the lock, where we would say, English speakers would say, I put the key in the lock, right? So I will say this. I did have it on WFAA for this. I had it on my TV, and I was watching their chat. And there were several people in the chat on WFAA's stream who said that they were, and take it for what it's worth, okay, because there's no way to validate that. But they said that they were fluent Arabic speakers and the translation was not good or accurate. And they had a problem with it as well. So I just, I have to get that off my chest because it's been bothering me since I saw it this afternoon, and I had to share. Okay, here we go.
And the security that would give me, the feeling of being secure.
Were you feeling the need for security because you felt like you were being followed?
أكيد أنا حياتي خطر.
Certainly, I felt my life is in danger and I needed that.
Now,
okay, the other thing that I wanted to point out is she has been sitting next to him this entire trial. She's the person who is sitting directly to Mr. Saeed's right. And frequently when the camera would pan out and you could see two heads together, it was she and him and her, however you say that. Excuse me. And in that capacity, she would need to whisper, right? But at this juncture, no. And that's all, a lot of people were outraged by this testimony. The dynamic between the translator and Mr. Saeed, they were upset about it. They were upset about the testimony
situation was not
too.
what you thought it would be when you got there. What decision did you make next?
قررت حسيت إن أنا مستهدف
Mrs. Ayers, would you have him speak into the microphone?
You want him to speak in the microphone, Your Honor? Okay.
You can hear it.
So after the microphone, interpreter would like to clarify what effort to بعدين.
أبو أعتقد في المنطقة اللي هي المقابل منطقة غريبة شوية فيها شجر وكده وفي شوية في المنطقة اختفيت هناك قلت أنا أمشي بس.
So I stopped at Riverside Drive. I opened the door and I ran into across to a wooden and tree area. And I thought, if they are my daughter's friend, let them solve the problem together if they have issues.
And backing up a little bit, Yaser, I know that there's a lot going on right now with this testimony, and you have not had anybody hear your side in 14 years, but we need to make sure that we can flesh out some of these details for the jury, okay? At what point did you communicate this plan with the girls to leave them with the car? I mean, are you communicating with them during the drive around? Can you elaborate on that a little bit, or explain that a little bit?
Yeah, there's holes big enough to drive a semi truck through. So we're going to need you to fill out those details, Mr. Saeed.
I told them the car is yours. You do whatever you want. Since they know how to drive, I left the car for them.
When you said you exited Riverside, do you remember specifically where did you pull over and exit the cab?
وين بالضبط ونزلت من السيارة على ريفرسايد وين؟ وين يعني مكان؟
Like where, not when.
Interpreter saying one is an Arabic word.
I apologize.
Mean where?
أوكي أنا اللي افتكره في ضرب ستيشن مش بعيد عن المكان. ضرب ستيشن هو الباصات حتى الباصات.
Okay, there was a bus station nearby.
I don't know exactly يعني المسافة لكن في الحدود دي.
In that approximate location, but I don't know where exactly, but it's a bus station.
Was it near the Urban Convention Center?
جنب مركز المؤتمرات تبع إرفن.
هو المحطة يعني ليها بتبص على 114.
So that station overlooks the 114 or faces it,
And Riverside Drive.
and Riverside would be the cross street.
And why did you choose that location at that time to leave
He
the
still
girls
didn't
with
even
the cab?
answer his
And what
first
will?
question.
إن ضرب ستيشن فيها سيرفيلانس كمان وفيها لايت كأنها بالنهار فيها بركة في لايت.
Because the bus station is well lit, like daylight, and it has also many surveillance cameras.
So you believe that you were leaving them in a safe place in order for you to take off on foot?
إذا اعتقدت إنه أنت تكون بمكان آمن وفينك تروح صحيح.
كنت أعتقد هذا لكن
I was thinking this way.
Oh, come on. Hold on.
But unfortunately not.
And when you left on
Hang
foot,
on, I'm going to
am
rewind
I
it.
correct
'cause-
in what you said earlier?
آمن وفينك تروح صحيح.
كنت أعتقد هذا لكن
I was thinking this way, but unfortunately not.
And when you left on foot, am I correct in what you said earlier that you believe that if there was a threat, that threat would follow you?
إذا كنت خايف هيك كانوا بالسيارة يلحقوك إلك.
Hold on a minute. So let me get this straight. What you're saying, Mr. Saeed, is that pretty much from the moment you left your home with the girls in your vehicle, you felt that you were being followed. So you pulled into a well-lit, surveilled environment and you exited the vehicle. However, you also said that you told the girls that you were leaving them the car and that they could work out their problems with their friends if they were having any problems. But at what point, sir, were you made aware that the people following you were known to Amina and Sarah? And oh, by the way, how come when the girls' bodies were found, there were no keys? Where did the keys go, sir? Also, where he's saying they were, let me listen a little bit more, and then we get done. I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna look on a map and see where he's saying they were in relation to where the girls were actually found.
Of course, because I was thinking they were trying to get off me personally.
Now, at this point, you said you crossed Riverside, if I understand your testimony correctly, and can you describe the area there? Are there buildings, are there woods? What is it on the other side of Riverside?
Tell him, Sam. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, for Pete's sake. Are you kidding me?
بتتكلمي في 14 سنة فاتوا ما كانش فيه لايت، ما كانش فيه بيلدينج بزنس، كانت منطقة من الناحية الثانية أنا بتكلم.
The area across 14 years ago was kind of a rural area. You would not see it as today where there's many buildings I could describe.
Sam meant for the regular chatters to chat, not for the naked chatters to chat.
Certainly.
Now,
he said Riverside and 114, right?
To meet them somewhere
else,
meet them at home. When you decided to leave on foot to potentially draw this thread away and leaving them with the car, when were you going to reconnect with your daughters?
سبتهم وقررت تمشي. شو المخطط انت وياهم تعمل ايه؟ يروحوا فين؟ At that point, I did not have a plan in mind. I went on foot, hoping that I will see one of my friends and maybe he will give me a ride, but I did not have a specific plan of what to do at that point for them also.
And that in part because was there a sense of urgency? Were you scared about the situation?
I felt close to somebody will be coming and assassinating me while I have my children with me. So yes, it was a scary situation.
Now, for the rest of the night, you stay on foot, is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
When do you first learn?
I'll have to, let me rewind it for me nonstop, Mom. I'll find it for you. Hold on.
It took me some time to get into the Waffle House. I don't know how long because I was going on my feet. When I arrived, or as soon as I arrived, I heard that something has happened to somebody, but I don't know who. When I arrived to the Waffle House, I heard some talking about some accident, but I wasn't sure what it was about.
Now, is the wooded area? I'm sorry, yes.
They were talking about the accident, and that's how I know there was an accident.
And then you later learned that, in fact, it wasn't an accident, that your daughters had been murdered?
Certainly.
Now, Yaser, none of us were there that night. And we're all here together now. If you could go back in time, would you have still made the same decision that you did in that moment to leave on foot and leave the girls with the cab?
لو رجع بيك الزمن تاخد نفس القرار وتسيب بناتك بالسيارة وتمشي على رجليك؟ Definitely not, because this was a very stupid decision that I made.
And then sometime after those morning hours is when you finally learned actually the reality of the situation. Is that fair? Correct?
بالصبح عرفت حقيقة الموضوع، صحيح؟ Yes.
And given who you are and where you came from, what was your initial reaction to the allegations that you started hearing on the news and when you saw your daughter's dead on the news?
رأيك إيه لما سمعت وشفت اللي حصل بالاتهامات ضدك؟
طريقة التغطية الإعلامية كانت شديدة للغاية وغير مسبوقة، ما حصلتش في قضية من هذا النوع.
The coverage for this case was kind of abnormal, one of its kind, and maybe harsh.
During that evening when you were on foot and into those morning hours, did your phone have power? Did it have service? Did you turn it off? What was the status of your cell phone at that time?
I did not have a phone.
Thank you, Yaser. No further questions at this time. I'll pass it over.
Thank you, Your Honor. You became a naturalized citizen August 19th of 1999, isn't that right?
كنت جاي لسه نتيجة كنت فاكيشن نتيجة على هنا مع كنت فاكيشن ورجعت رحت اشتريت
I was in Egypt on a vacation with my family, and as soon as I came back, I got naturalized.
So that's a yes, correct?
إذا نعم، جوابك نعم.
أعتقد
I think so.
Okay, so you know how to speak and understand the English language, right?
تفهم وتتكلم إنجليزي؟
أعرف إنجليزي.
Yes.
And as a cab driver, you have to communicate with the patrons, right?
وأنت سائق سيارة شوفير يعني فلازم تتواصل مع الناس اللي يدرون اللغة العربية صحيح؟
بالتأكيد بس إحنا ما بنحكيش قصص مع الزبون.
Certainly, but we do not start saying stories with them.
Sure, but they have to tell you where they're going, right?
ولكن على الأقل بتقول لهم وين رايح.
بالتأكيد المعلومات اللي هي فقط للشغل مطلوبة.
Whatever my work demands me to say so.
So that's a yes.
إذا نعم، جوابك نعم.
المعلومات مطلوب من الكاستمر اللي يقولها بس فوق المطلوب.
Whatever the customer wants.
So you have to understand them to communicate. That's a yes.
إذا بدك تفهم الزبون لا تتواصل معه صحيح؟ Of course.
Okay. Going back to 114 in the Lodge Club, that is a gentleman's club, isn't it?
Ay, chingao.
Gentleman club يعني نادي الرجال صحيح؟ Almost yes.
It's a gentleman's strip club, right?
إذا هو مكان نادي مرأة يعني صحيح؟
مش رجال بس أحيانا.
Not only men, also women, yes.
Okay, but it's a nightclub, strip club. You work there often.
I would object to relevance. He did not stop at that club. What the nature of that business is not relative to disprove or disprove any material facts in this case. We would object before it will
What's the state's response?
Your Honor, he just testified on direct that he attempted to go to the cab stand, saw no cars. Cab stand was empty, thought it was his friends. The permissible area to look into. He just testified on direct.
Your objection's overruled.
You were going to stop at the Lodge Club, right?
I needed to park at their cab stand and I wanted to make sure there was cars.
Cripes.
So did you stop or did you not stop?
هل وقفت أم ما وقفت؟ I did not stop.
But there was security there, right?
ولكن في حراسة هناك صحيح أمن.
أنا ما أعرفش السكيورتي خاص بالكلوب اللي جوه الكلوب مش بره يعني الكلوب أنا في تاكسي يكون موجود وفي مالناش دعوة بالسكيورتي.
There's taxis who stand out there, has nothing to do with security. Security of the club is normally inside the club.
So the club had security, correct?
إذن النادي عنده حراس أمن.
One security when he includes inside, he takes sometimes answer to the call.
Only one security, and he wasn't looks around and he takes the dancers to their car sometimes.
So the club had security, yes.
إذن في حراسة أمن.
Okay.
Yes.
You didn't tell security that you were being followed, right? You didn't stop. You didn't tell them that you needed help.
Security was not outside to begin with.
But you could have gone inside and told them you were scared.
عشان اخاف خلاص عشان اسال على السكيورتي فقررت امشي على طول لان في مناظر كده.
I did not have that idea at that moment. My girls were with me, and I didn't want to take them into the club with me.
And you didn't want to leave them alone either, right?
ولكن ما تتركهم بالسيارة صحيح. وإذا مش عايز أيضا تتركهم بالسيارة وحدهم.
عند الكلاب يعني
At the club, you mean?
Ever. You never wanted to leave them alone. And you didn't want to leave them alone at the club.
ما لازم تتركهم بأي مكان لوحدهم وحتى بالكلاب كمان ممكن حسيت إنه تتركهم.
All right.
There is a difference between the first situation and the club.
What?
Patricia called you on your phone, didn't she?
I remember, but I don't know details of that call. I don't remember it. It
Hey,
was a very
Kristen
short call.
G. Hey,
So you didn't have your
Kelly.
phone with you.
إذا كان عندك in the car. I had it in the car.
Right. So you had a phone with you.
In the car.
You didn't tell Patricia that you were scared that someone was following you
No, I did not tell her.
because you weren't scared.
لأنك ما كنتش خايف.
ازاي واحد ما يخافش في ناس بيلحقوا السيارة يعني ازاي؟
How would someone be not scared when someone is following him, another car is following him?
You didn't call 911?
لا
No, I did not call the police.
Why not?
ليش؟
لان كنت مثلا ممكن دي
This was my next step after stopping by the cab and check if there was any of my friends at the cab.
But you didn't ever call 911.
ولكن اتصلت أبداً بالشرطة. No,
So you stopped at Riverside. That's the DART station?
Riverside isn't a DART station?
أعتقد السكرة.
I think so.
Did you or did you not? You just said you did.
هل تذكرت إنك؟ نعم.
حط فيها البصات بتخش فيها البصات وبتطلع منها.
All I know that buses go there and leave from there. That's all I know.
Okay. So it was a bus area.
Yes, exactly.
And you decided to leave the car and leave your two daughters in the car by themselves.
ما توقعتش إن حد
I did not expect anyone would harm them.
Right, because you were scared they were going to harm you, right?
I was thinking someone sent them after me to harm me and not my girls.
So what did you do with your gun?
I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm Googling.
Because it's a dangerous area where I'm going to work at night, I would take my gun with me and place it between the seat and the cubby, but not every day.
You left the gun in the car. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But you were so scared you didn't take the gun with you.
خايف جدا ولكنك أخذت المسدس معك. How would I carry a gun and go in the street with it?
You were scared, right?
I hid by myself. I didn't think I would need the gun.
But you used the gun for protection, right?
ولكن أيضاً المسدس نحمله لنحمي أنفسنا. In the car, I always take it, like I said, normally with me at night. If something happened to protect myself, that night I did not think to take it with me. I was thinking there's nothing harmful.
Right. There was nothing harmful because nobody was following you.
Was I dreaming that somebody was following me then?
Oh dear.
You tell me. You had a 9mm handgun in that car, correct?
أنا المسدس مكانه في البيت التوسيس زي ما قلت باخده مش كل يوم باخده معايا يعني كل أسبوعين بس ما بحكيلوش إلا لما نحطه بس عشان خاطر مسدس هو مش
Like I said, when I work at night, it has a spot between the two seats. I place it there, fearing anything would be harmful.
It's a 9mm, right? 9mm handgun.
Yes,
So you left your girls to get slaughtered in the car.
I was not aware they would be killed.
Father's job is to protect his children, right?
Certainly, for sure, but at that night, I did not think they will be harmed by their own friends.
You don't even know who was in this car behind you, do you?
ولكنك تعرف مين كان في السيارة، صحيح؟
بس كان توقع
Yes, but I had expectation.
Expectations of what?
توقعات إيه؟
واحد شخصية
That somebody sent them after me personally to hurt me.
Did you love your daughters?
أكيد الأسباب اللي عندي كتابة تؤكد إن إحنا يعني الفيكيشن أنا my life is messy عامل فيديو تاني لا أنا عندي
Certainly, and my trips with them, my vacation with them, the hundreds of tapes that I have with them and
Oh,
for them
don't bring up those
certainly prove
tapes.
it.
You didn't show up to their funerals.
بسبب النيجاتيف نيوز والتغطية الإعلامية السيئة اللي هي فيها
Your Honor, actually, before he responds, given that this is going to, after the, given the timing of the question that is being asked, I know that he has waived his rights in regards to this allegation here. We would assert his Fifth Amendment right in regards to the federal prosecution for flight. And this question would potentially incriminate him for that subsequent prosecution if it proceeds. But at this point, he is facing federal charges. This question elicits that type of testimony, and we would assert his Fifth Amendment right to this question at this time.
Overruled.
Hi, Chingo.
Yes, because of the unfair and hateful media coverage at that time.
مفيش قضايا بالتاريخ القضايا في أمريكا لم يحدث أبدا إن في قضية غلطت بهذه الطريقة
The coverage was negative. If you look up the history of all the crimes or of incidents like this incident that happened with me, you wouldn't see any case that was covered the way mine was covered.
And that was more important than going to their funerals.
There was no evidence, but all the accusation was against me, and I did not go. How would I go?
You were going to sell them to Egypt to the highest bidder, right? Marry
Objection,
them
Your
off.
Honor. May we approach?
You may.
Okay. This is also an issue. They shouldn't be talking to each other while there is a sidebar happening right now. It's highly improper. Okay, so remember how you were asking me nonstop, Mom, about the gentleman's club? So did you hear did you hear the name of the club as the Lodge? LODGE?
Okay, come on.
Okay. Because that's where I mapped. Okay, and I'm going to check just one more thing real quick and make sure that I have where the girls were found correct. Sorry. Oh, my stars. You see, you talk about gentlemen's club. Get him, Christine.
All right, both sides are instructed to desist from showing any emotional outbursts, either by way of speaking or bodily movements towards each other's objections. Is that understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
No issue from state.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. State may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. You were indicted for molesting your girl, Sarah, and Amina Saeed,
Objection, Your
correct?
Honor, under 608, this is impermissible, under 404, it's impermissible. They have no right to start lodging these extraneous offenses against this client or against Yaser in the middle of this cross-examination. Just because they're cross-examining a defendant, that does not mean the rules of evidence dissipate. And it is wholly improper for them to get into these extraneous offenses that they fail to substantiate or provide any evidence of just because it's cross-examination.
What's the state's response?
Your Honor, it's wholly permissible. We heard evidence that that was an allegation, and I asked him if he was indicted. I didn't ask him the manner and means.
608 requires a conviction, not
I'm
an indictment.
speaking.
Oh,
I did ask him the manner and means. And
Yay!
Your Honor, he can be cross and extraneous offenses.
Can I respond briefly, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Yes, if they can find an exception to the rules of evidence that are designed to allow for credible evidence and credible extraneous offenses to come in, they clearly do not understand the language of 608 or 404 and are trying to backdoor this character evidence without even meeting the requirements of those rules. 608 does not permit them to get into this, and I would object under
All right.
608, under 404, under 401, under 402. And the fact that all these allegations are based in nothing but hearsay and subsequently recanted, I would object under 801 and 802 as well, Your Honor. Furthermore, I would like to raise the Confrontation Clause issue that he does not have the ability, that we do not have the ability to cross-examine the individuals that were part of this
okay, I have it
That
right.
witness has come and gone,
Just want to check.
and it is wholly impermissible to lodge these false allegations against my client just for this cross-examination.
All right, pursuant to 403, the court will sustain the defense's objection.
Good for her, but she, to be he cut her off, and that was rude. Like, come on, you
Your Honor, maybe
counselor,
so.
be professional. There isn't like, excuse me. There's not going to be too much more of this testimony left. I know that the counter goes on for like another 6 hours, or not 6 hours, like an hour and some 47 minutes or something like that. But his testimony is only to hear, I think. Hold on, let me just check and make sure. Yeah. And then I'll show you the map. No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Callie, but I can't be sure. I tried to Google out and find out if they were public defenders. Oh, for fuck's sake. But I was unable to ascertain that whether they were not. Christine, you want to get them or you want me to, babe? I know how you like to block people. So annoyed with it. So ridiculous. And I don't plan on being live too much longer, so I don't
Phrase
want to
its
like
questions
turn
accordingly, appropriately.
subscribers only on, but if I have to, I will. It's just ridiculous.
You were violent to Anita and Sarah, correct?
We're in here watching true crime.
Character evidence.
You
There
really
is
think we're
no
going to go on the
evidence
internet and
submitted.
find love?
Physical evidence
No.
produced in this case.
We're
There is
aware of
no,
what's out in the world. Thank
There's
you.
no basis for these allegations other than the state's narrative. And we would argue that under 404, this is impermissible. Furthermore, if they're going to try and get into it under 404, they cannot make an umbrella objection to those exceptions. They have to specifically identify motive, intent, plan, or whatever their choice is, but they have to identify that. They have failed to do so at any point in this jury trial in their attempts to get into this stuff. And furthermore, under 403, the prejudicial effect substantially outweighs the probative value given the nature of these allegations and the lack of evidence to support them. And I would re-urge under 801 and 802, this is impermissible hearsay or based on impermissible hearsay. And so for those reasons, Your Honor, the hearsay rules, the relevancy rules, the character evidence rules, most of the rules of evidence deem this improper for them to get into at this time, regardless of the fact that it's cross-examination. Again, the act of
Thank you,
cross-examination
Callie.
does not kill
I
the rules of
tried.
evidence. So for those reasons, Your Honor, we ask that they be limited in this attempted extraneous offense fishing expedition.
What's the state's response?
Now,
This is extremely relevant to this case and is permissible under.
Naked
Texas Code of
HD,
Criminal
if you're
Procedure
willing to
38,
offer a
36,
full
and all prosecutions for
Facebook,
murder, the state
deep
attorney shall be
dive,
permitted to offer testimony as to all
Twitter
relevant facts
deep
and
dive,
circumstances surrounding the killing, and
Instagram
previous
deep dive,
relationship existing between the accused
all
and the
social
deceased,
media,
together with all relevant facts and circumstances going to show the condition
deep
of the mind
dive.
of the accused at the time of
Maybe
the
I'll let you
As
stay.
for 404B, Your Honor, this goes to motive, this goes to intent, this goes to absence of a mistake.
But that's
this
just for
goes to
starters
opportunity.
if we're going to
And
date
we
somebody
are
over
allowed
here in
to
the
ask
true
these
crime
questions, Your Honor,
community.
as allowed within the code.
We're going to need
Go ahead.
witness statements,
As they
letters of
stated
reference,
in their
character
response to this
references,
court, to
a
admit this
background
evidence, it has
check.
to be based in fact. They have not produced a single witness to establish any of the facts that they are alleging. If they wanted to get into this stuff, there was a way to do it. There were the proper witnesses and there was a proper procedure, and they're trying to bypass
Oh.
all that and create facts to fit this case law, or excuse me, the code that they're citing. Without the
Wow.
facts, by their own argument, they cannot get into this. They failed to establish those facts, and it's wholly improper. And I would
Hang
reiterate
on.
all those arguments that I made earlier, and most specifically under 403, that again, the probative value substantially, I mean, the prejudicial effect substantially outweighs any probative value that can be assigned to this extraneous offense fishing expedition.
Fishing
Objections overruled,
expedition.
counsel.
Oh, okay.
State may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. There was violence in your home, correct?
I'm going to turn subscribers only on. Give me just a sec.
Where does the violence come from?
Where does the violence come from? If I've
He
been
said that
married-
in English. We all heard it. Oh, shit. I hope I didn't mess it up by doing this. Hold on. Crap. I think I might have. Hold on. Let me just turn it on subscribers
For
only real
30
quick.
straight
Oh, no, I
years,
didn't. Okay, good.
Not a single incident where a neighbor called or any one of my family called about violence. 911, called 911 about violence.
But you threatened to kill Patricia if she did not recant the charges against you in Hill County.
Again, I'm going to object for all the same reasons before. That it's based on hearsay statements. They have not established this fact. They have not done the proper prove up to get into any of this. This is all them trying to create these facts to get into these extraneous offenses. There's been nothing presented to this jury that there is any truth to any of these allegations that they're trying to get in.
Your objections overruled, counsel.
May I ask? Patricia's lying. It never happened.
Patricia's lying. So you didn't threaten to kill Patricia and tell her that you would never be found.
Women are protected more than men in America. There's no such a thing. I did not do it. And
What?
who would?
Women are
Ah, Pete's sake. Come on. Sorry, you guys. It's me because I have like 87 windows open. I just closed 3 of them. Hold on. My computer's like, no.
protected more
There we
than men
go.
in America, huh? Is that what you said?
Hey, Chick.
No American woman would fear calling
I
the
put it on
police if she
subscribers
was
only.
abused.
They're not doing
No
it
American
again.
woman would what?
Fear calling the police or tell the police if she was abused.
What do you mean by that?
Laws protect women. At least she could tell her family, for example.
Hey, Kez Chick.
Okay. Patricia left you several times.
Can
didn't
you
she?
hear now, Sam? There was a little glitch in the matrix because I have too many. Oh, hey, while you guys are here and I'm thinking about it, I
Yes,
said
and
it
I don't
this
remember how many
morning.
times.
It was a lot of times, wasn't it?
I want you guys to hear her properly. But earlier, last night after Diane Downs, I was thinking about it this morning while I was in the shower. You know, I do all my best thinking in the shower. And I was thinking maybe I should add a membership tier and call it the Kookaloos. How would you guys feel about that if I did that? You know, because it kind of fits with the ward, you know, as a branch of the True Psych ward. And, you know, we could all be Kookaloos. That's what I was thinking.
First, I would ask for running objection to the extraneous offense thing. I don't want to have, I mean, I don't want to.
He did say that, Callie. He did.
Interfere constantly with this. I mean, I do.
He
but,
did.
You've made your ruling. And so I'd ask for a running objection on the extraneous offense issues. And I would also raise the objection that this is way beyond the scope of direct examination. And
All right, I'm going to make a
that
Kookaloo
they're
tier. I'm going to
line
make
of
a
questioning
Kookaloo tier.
directed at the direct examination specifically. If they want to contest anything that he said on direct examination, of course, cross-examination is the appropriate way to do that. But they're trying to get into the entire life of this. And again, for all the extraneous offensive issues, we believe that at the very least under 403, this is.
She
improper.
already ruled when you said this earlier.
Your request for a running objection is overruled. You will object when you deem it fit, and your objection is overruled.
She's going to make you stand up every
She
time.
left you a lot, didn't she?
And P.S. You already objected to this. You tried to keep this line of questioning out when you were
Not too
having the
many
sidebar
times,
away
maybe
from the
maximum
jury.
2 times as far as I remember.
She always came back.
Meaning she was not afraid I would kill her.
She always came back because you demanded she came back, didn't you?
This is not true.
Huh?
Okay, let's talk about the missing persons report that you filed. December 26, 2007, do you remember calling Louisville PD about Patricia and the girls leaving you?
Hey, Bowling with Cotton Balls. Welcome back. Good to see ya.
I would say that too. I don't remember dates.
But you remember calling the police.
Yes, I do.
And you knew they left because they were so scared of you.
Probably Kez Chick. Hey, Rochelle.
When I came home, I did not know the story, and I don't know why they left to
The-
begin with.
The ward, much like Motel
Well, you knew they
6,
were not
always
home.
leaves a light on for you. Rochelle.
I called the police because I wanted to know where they were.
Right, but you knew they were not harmed.
جوزها بجد البيت ما كانش المهم والعيال يتعرفوا على فين لسه ما كنتش
I'm a husband who came home, did not find my wife or girls. I have to ask where they were, simply.
You didn't call any hospitals.
Did you ask?
بالبوليس
First of all, I called the police.
And you asked for them to bring your girls home.
I love that, Christine. The power of the Kookaloos.
Definitely, I wanted to know where they were.
Because you knew they were unharmed.
Oh, Anita, I don't know. Maybe.
ولا ما طلعوش
At that time,
Probably
I
not.
did not know if they fled or not fled, who they were with, or what not. So I did not know details at that time.
Going back to.
I
the
like
night
how she
that
talks with
Nina
her
and
hands
Sarah
like
were
it's her
murdered, Who picked
testimony.
you up from the Omni?
أمي يوم الوفاة أو الحادثة مين؟
مين قال انك كنت في القوي؟ يعني هي جايبه القصه دي منين؟ انا مش فاهم.
Who said I was at the Omni? I don't understand where this story came from. I wasn't at the Omni.
And you turned off your phone?
The phone was in the car.
And you had no plan.
وما كانش عندك خطة مخطط. Why? Why would I have a plan? And what kind of plan?
Objection, not responsive, Your Honor.
The same.
I don't understand your question.
You said you had no specific plan. You hoped a friend would just pick you up and give you a ride.
ما كانش عندك خطة، كنت متأمل صديقي ياخدك ويوصلك إلى مكان ما. I never said that.
You just testified to that on direct. You said you had no specific plan. You hoped your friend would give you a ride home.
أنت قلت إنه ما كانش عندك خطة ولكن كانت يعني تتأمل إنه حد من صحابك يوصلك. It depends which location you're talking about.
When you ran away from the cab.
لما هربت من سيارة التاكسي.
بالظبط كانش عندي خطة زي ما انا قلت بالظبط.
Like I said exactly, I did not have a plan. And I was for real looking for someone I know, one of my friends.
Who picked you up?
No one, I walked by feet.
Not by your
Who picked
hands?
you up at the Waffle
Cool.
House?
I never said anyone took me or picked me up from the Waffle House.
Where did you go? You didn't go home?
أنا رحت على البيت ورحت فين؟
Again, object. and
All right, well, hold on.
assert his Fifth Amendment right, given that this goes into the flight element of the federal prosecution. It is not relevant to, the questions they're asking are after the date and time that is pertinent to this case. And because he has the pending federal issue, we would like to assert his Fifth Amendment right to
I've not, this trial, I don't know. I've not seen anything like it.
Your Honor, this goes to his consciousness of guilt. This is relevant. I'm able to go into any area in cross-examination that's relevant to the case.
May I respond, Your Honor?
When I was,
I believe it's needlessly cumulative. They went to great lengths to show that he was found at the Justin House in 2022.
watching,
What happened
oh,
during that
sorry,
time
that's what I meant.
is potentially going to expose.
When
him
I
to
was
additional
watching
felony
this
prosecution,
afternoon when
or
this was
excuse me, federal
live,
prosecution.
I was watching
They've
the chat
established
and there were a lot
what
of
they needed to
people in the
establish
chat
in
who
regards to
said
that,
they
so it would
were,
be
they
needlessly
spoke
cumulative,
Arabic
and also,
fluently. It was
therefore,
their
the probative
first
value,
language.
excuse me,
And,
the probative value that the probative value.
She's not translating correctly.
Thank you, Your Honor. Where did you go? You didn't go to your house.
But again, if she's not translating correctly, then she'd be risking her job.
I'm familiar with that area. I was hanging around in that area.
Oh. It's not like,
Until when?
that's not a very safe area, by the way.
A while. I don't remember how long.
A while. What do you, Meg Griffin all of a sudden? A while.
So you just stayed at the Waffle House until 2020? You hung out at the Waffle House.
قعدت بالوافل هاوس لحد ما دخلت السنة الجديدة 2020.
Why is he whispering? You're not supposed to be doing
Waffle
that.
House was just a stop. Then I left because I was avoiding public areas.
Well, I'll tell you this. You know the FBI can clean
And then you
clean
got
that
to
audio
Justin
up,
House with your brother Yasin and Islam.
and they'll be able to hear his whispering. So whatever's happening, if it ain't on the up and up, it'll come out. It always does.
No, not right away.
But you ended up there. That's where you were arrested, in the Justin House.
ولكن بعد كده رحت لجاستن هاوس واتمسكت هناك.
Oh, he can, because Shaky answered her a couple times in English. Hold on.
This was after the house was abandoned and I used it.
This is where you slept, isn't that right? You see that picture there? That cot, that's where you slept?
السرير ده والسرير اللي انت عليه صحيح.
Come on, cameraman, get us over there. We want to see this cot.
This was a storage room inside the garage. No.
So you slept in a bed in the house?
نمت بسرير.
Yes, Callie, he should.
Does it have to be a bed? Why you're asking about the bed?
I'm asking the question. Did you sleep in a bed in the house?
نمت بسرير في البيت.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'll be in chat, though.
Sometimes I
Yes,
would
he
use
can
the couch.
speak English, you guys.
Comfortable?
مريح.
Objection relevance.
Were you comfortable?
I didn't have a problem.
You didn't have a problem. You had food to eat, correct?
Oh my God, Christine G. I'm going to have to
I
be
have
done
to-
with you for
You had
tonight.
something to drink for nourishment?
حاجة تشربها.
Oh my God, I hate this
Definitely.
thing. Go.
Air conditioning?
I'll be right back. I'm in chat though.
I was not using air conditioning.
Okay, so no air. So you were uncomfortable? You were hot?
إذا ما كنتش مرتاح كنت سخن. Not necessarily I was using.
Not necessarily?
Wasn't important to me.
Right. It's important that you remain hidden, right?
لكن أهم حاجة إنك تكون متخبي. I never said I wasn't hiding in the house. I used the house.
You were hiding in that house, right?
كنت متخبي في البيت ده صحيح.
Not
Not all the time.
So you went to the police, you made a statement?
Wait a minute, which house you're talking about?
The Justin house, where you were found and arrested.
Justin. What about the Justin house? I need to know
You
what
can't understand me now? You don't understand what I'm asking you?
Yeah. Don't, I want you reading it.
Okay, so you're talking to me in English now. You understand me very clearly, don't you?
I didn't say I don't know English. I know some English, of course.
Yeah, Your Honor, I want to object to her badgering the witness. He was ordered by this court to speak in his native tongue. Their English is his second language, which is why we have a translator, and it's not fair for her to sit here and beat him up for doing exactly what the court has ordered him to do.
Sustained.
I'll move along now. You knew you were on the FBI 10 most wanted list, didn't you?
Of course.
Did you watch the news?
Sometimes.
You had a TV.
I'm not a big TV watcher, so sometimes.
And you said the coverage was too harsh.
وقلت ذكرت قبل كده التغطية الإعلامية كانت شديدة.
أقول كل التاريخ الأمريكي في قضية الفرد فبالتالي يتردد هذه القضية. فكل التاريخ الأمريكي.
I don't think in the entire history of America there is a case that has the coverage that my case had.
Too harsh, right?
شديدة جدا.
كان فيها عنصرية شديدة و double standard.
There was prejudice and there was double standard to it.
If you didn't kill your daughters, why did you hide for 12 years?
إذا ما قتلت بناتك اتخبيت لمدة 12 سنة ليه؟
لأن التغطية السيئة طبيعي إن مش هيكون في فرق بسبب التغطية. هذه التغطية كان وراها أجندة أخرى خفية.
Because I believe behind this coverage there was a secret agenda, and then all the media was steered in a certain direction and fueled against me that I will not get a fair trial. Interpret without a clarification.
كانت في أجندة لتحقيق هدف سياسي overseas.
The agenda that I was talking about, maybe the agenda that was maybe put into for certain sides in the Middle East, but that's why I escaped, because I was afraid I'm not going to get a fair trial.
And you remained hidden.
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. Smith, proceed. Yaser, you don't deny that you wish that you stayed with the girls that night. Is that right?
ما بتنكرش كنت بتتمنى بقيت مع بناتك بهداك اليوم الليلة.
بالتأكيد.
Certainly.
And you would do anything to go back and change what happened to them that night if you had the ability to do so.
وبتتمنى ترجع يرجع فيك الزمان وما بتعمل نفس اللي عملته وما بتبقى معهم. Definitely yes.
Yaser, did you love Amina and Sarah?
Did you?
Love Amina and Sarah?
هل حبيت أمينة وسارة؟
Look to history, look to the history of their
look at the movies, look at the tapes. I have hundreds of tapes showing how much I loved my daughters. No one has that kind of videos with their kids.
No one is to his family. If I was-
No one does what I did to his family.
Yaser, you don't know what happened to those girls after you left that cabin.
No.
You know they were murdered, but you don't know who did this.
If the FBI did their work, they would have known, but they were looking for Yaser Saeed, and they did not do what they have to do. The United States laws say the person is innocent till he proves guilty. I was not proven guilty,
In one case, Mr. Saeed was guilty even if he proved innocent.
but Mr. Saeed is guilty even if he proves innocent.
And Yaser, I know that this is,
That's my case here.
I know that this is emotional, and I know that this is difficult, but I need you to answer this question clearly for the jury. Did you kill your daughters that night?
No, sir, I did. He says, of course, they did.
Definitely not. I did not kill my daughters.
No further questions.
Anything else from the state? Further questions?
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 15-minute break, and we'll resume at
I don't know if I can, Christine. Hang on.
Ms. Interpreter, would you state?
I'll look and see if I can find him. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys where he says he was and where the girls were found. Also, I'm very curious to know if, I don't know why I'm yelling. Sorry. Let me take it down a notch. Okay. I'm very curious to know if Mr. Saeed referred to himself as Mr. Saeed or if he referred to himself as I, because obviously there's a difference. And I would like to know if she translated correctly. Ah, hell. Hold on. Crap. How did I do this last time? Oh, here we go. No. Crap. I just had it. What did I did? All right, hold on. I don't remember how I did this last time. Shit. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, and I have to put this stupid thing back in. Hold on a second. All right. All right. All right, let me add this to the stream. Okay. So here is the gentleman's club over here. Okay. Here is where the girls were found. You can see that it's 6 or 7 minutes away. It's not that far. So that just gives you guys a general idea of, where the locations were. Now, but so what I'm saying is he was in this general vicinity over here is where he's saying he was, but the girls were found over here. And he's saying that when he left them, they were somewhere over in this neck of the woods. Because here's 114. Okay. And these are, let me see here's Riverside right here. See? So, and he said 121, and I think, hold on. Let me zoom out. See, the thing about Texas is you kind of got to be from there, because I think that this 348 is also 121. I think. I haven't been there in a long time because there's 635. There's 183. And there's loop 12. Hold on. Yeah, I think that 348, this is now, it was 121 back then. Because the names change sometimes. Okay. So now, Christine, you want me to try to find those tapes? Do you have a link or something that, like, of where they might be? Because I'm not playing that, that documentary because it's copyrighted and they will stop my, stream. I'll search too. I think I found one. Hold on. All right. This is from WFAA, so this should be okay for me to use, and it should fall under fair use. I think this is the one I just found, babe. Great minds. Okay. All right. Thank you for looking, babe. All right, let me add this to the stream. All right. Ready and go.
Oh my God, I just realized I'm recording. Here's Sarah.
17-year-old Sarah and 18-year-old Amina Saeed had big hopes of going to college and living the American dream.
What are you doing? I'm looking for something.
Home videos gives us a glimpse into their lives.
2.5 weeks.
That's only, and you make you supervisor?
Yep.
The happy moments.
Wow, look at his eyes.
I'm gonna get sick.
And the dark ones.
Okay, turn it off, Dad. I'm erasing this tape.
No, you can't.
Behind the camera is their father, Yaser Saeed.
Do I videotape you when you're sleeping?
He followed them everywhere and he recorded their every move.
She's mine to the customer.
But she has to, part of her job.
The relationship progressed, and as it progressed, she would tell me more and more horror stories about him, basically.
Ruth Trotter, whose son Joseph dated Amina, says Saeed was obsessed with his daughters and was abusive.
I knew the fear and threat was real all the time.
When they were younger, Amina and Sarah filed a police report accusing him of sexual assault.
Nice legs.
Police believe he became jealous and obsessed because the girls both dated American boys.
Very nice.
And police say it caused him to do the unthinkable.
I think that frustrated him, and he couldn't handle that, and I think that's why he ultimately decided to kill them.
The girls begged their mother, Patricia, to leave, and in December 2018, she took Amina and Sarah and 2 friends to Oklahoma. But police say on New Year's Eve, after talking to Saeed, she brought the girls back home and convinced them to have dinner with their father alone. They took off in a taxi cab borrowed from a friend. That's where police say Saeed shot his daughters.
Harvey, 911, what is your emergency? What's going on, man?
You hear her last breath. She was fighting till the very end.
Okay, hold on one second, okay?
Amina was shot twice. Sarah was shot 9 times.
Oh my God.
Police frantically searched for the girls. An hour after the first call,
What's your emergency?
She has blood coming from her ear.
a second 911 call came in from a man who spotted the girls
Hold on a
slumped
second.
in a taxi in front of the Omni Hotel in Irving.
Hold on a second. See how they just reported that, Christine? Yesterday, we just went over this. Yesterday, I looked this up, and it was the other way around. That Sarah was shot twice and Amina was shot 9 times. Hold on. Yeah, but when I looked it up, it said something different. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up again.
We still don't know what whereabouts of Mr. Said. We're looking for any tips or leads that might lead us to him.
Saeed ended up on the FBI's 10 most wanted list.
Dad, just turn yourself in.
His son immediately made a plea for his father to give himself up.
Maybe they won't put you on death row, but you can sit in prison and think about what you've done.
After 13 long years, a tip came in that helped the FBI and Irving police arrest Saeed at a home in Justin,
no, I don't wanna
just
look
30
up-
miles from where
hold on.
Sarah and Amina were killed. The FBI also arrested his son and brother for harboring a fugitive. Both have been convicted and sentenced to more than a decade in prison. Meanwhile, Saeed has spent some of his time in the Dallas County Jail writing rambling letters to the judge proclaiming his innocence. In one letter, he wrote, "I was not happy about my kids' dating activity, but I did not do the killings or had any plan to hurt them."
That's my gun. This is my dad's gun.
Yaser Saeed, who is 65 years old, will stand trial for capital murder.
I don't know how. Actually, I do know how to pull it back. I've done it.
No, don't do that.
The Dallas DA has said he won't seek the death penalty.
Ma'am, are you still there? Ma'am, are you still there?
If convicted, Saeed will automatically be sentenced to life without parole.
Okay, why are you still there, ma'am? Ma'am, what is your address?
In Dallas,
Ma'am.
I'm Rebecca Lopez.
All right. I'm looking it up because okay, now the Dallas Morning News has it this way. Amina was shot twice and Sarah was shot 9 times. So then, okay, let's say this. This is why that theory, then the theory that the defense put forth with respect to the boyfriends being the last people to see them alive, which is something that almost every single cross-examination that was done by the defense, as far as any of the law enforcement were concerned, they talked about Eric and Edgar being the last people to see the girls alive, which whatever, doesn't make sense. But anyway, it seemed to me that they focused harder, more pressing, more pointed, accusatory questions in Edgar's direction than in Eric's direction. If Edgar was the person who did the shooting, because they were shot by the same gun. So if Edgar was the trigger person, right? Why would Sarah have suffered more than, why would she have been shot more times than Amina if he was upset allegedly over Joseph Moreno? See, that makes no sense. I don't know where the defense was going now. Oh, Lord. So after he takes the stand, or after he gets down off the stand, they take another little break. And when they come back from the break, the judge says, okay, given the lateness of the day, this is probably about 3, I think. 3 for me. So like maybe, well, yeah, that sounds right. About 3:00. Anyway, she said that she was going to reserve closing statements and jury instructions for tomorrow. So I'll be back live tomorrow morning with the closing arguments and the jury instruction. And from that point, we'll just be on verdict watch. She also said, and I found this to be interesting. So during the entirety of the trial, this would be day number 5, the jurors have not been sequestered. However, one of the last things that she said to the jurors before she let them go for the day was that they needed to go home and they needed to pack a bag, because she was going to require them to be sequestered during deliberation. So we'll see. I don't know how. I don't know. I can't really. I'm trying to figure this out because well, that makes sense, bowling with cotton balls. A lot of sense, actually. But usually, I don't know, just seems nine times as excessive. Of course, to be fit, but also you have to keep in mind that once, I wonder who he shot first, though. He could, because Amina's injuries were almost immediately fatal, right? And Sarah obviously they were not. Did you know that did you know that 911 tape, that recording goes on for 41 minutes? I don't you think so, Christine? I'm going to look that up because the reason I say that is they only talk about Sarah's 911 call. And when the FBI agent who analyzed the cell tower data, when he testified, it was Sarah's phone call, Sarah's phone that dialed 911. That was what they put together. I think for us to fully understand this, perhaps while we wait for the verdict, we need to go through some of the forensic testimony because there was talk about trajectory and stuff. So perhaps we need to go through that first. Maybe that's what we need to do. I'm glad they removed it, honestly, Christine G. We don't need to hear that. Because I mean, I don't understand the defense. Like, it's great if you can chisel away at the state's experts and their credibility, and if there are like eyewitnesses, stuff like that, that's good to chip away at the credibility of the state's case. But if you're going to offer up an alternative suspect, you have to make it make sense. They played the 911 tape in court, Kezchik. They get to hear it. They get to hear it. So, yeah, this is just a sad case. So young and so smart, and they wanted to be doctors. Ugh. I'm assuming that. Sorry, I'm thirsty. I'm assuming that the home videos were admitted into evidence. And I say that because he references them and wanting the jury to look at them. So, which is clearly, he's the only one that sees those videos in a good light. They are not good videos, but yeah. I honestly don't think that the defense raised enough reasonable doubt, quite frankly. I really don't. I mean, they raised two alternative suspects in the boyfriends, but at the same time, they never really connected those dots for the jury. They were never going to connect it for me because the evidence just doesn't bear it out. And they didn't put on their own experts to refute the evidence. They talked a lot about, I remember when we were listening on Friday, they were talking about trajectory and evidence collection and stuff like that, but they didn't actually I expected them to put on their own witnesses to dismantle the state's forensic evidence, and they didn't do that. So I just don't see how they could. I don't think they raised one iota of reasonable doubt at all. Quite honestly. So if you guys want to, well, tomorrow I'll go live, obviously, in the morning, like I always do, and stream the trial. And then maybe what I can do after that, like tomorrow night, we can go back and revisit some of the forensic testimony if you guys want to. If that sounds like a good plan, would you do me a favor and put a 1 in the chat and let me know if you think that's a good idea? Because I'd be more than happy to do it. All right, so I'm sorry, Molson Man. All right, that's what we'll do then. So tomorrow morning I will replay. I'll stream the closing arguments, and then tomorrow night, obviously, I will stream the closing arguments, and we'll go back over the forensic testimony. Because I think that would be a good idea. There's some holes, and we gotta. Oh, you don't have to muzzle yourself bowling with cotton balls. No need for that. There's just some words you can't use in the chat, but you haven't said any of those words, so I think it'll be fine. All right then. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this. Thank you guys all for being here. If you haven't already, please give your girl a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it greatly. Also, if you got friends and stuff that that are interested in the kind of, in this case, or just true crime in general, and you think they would, enjoy listening to me or me and my guests and a cool chat, share out my stream. I'd appreciate it. But I think for now, that's going to be it. Thank you guys all for being here. Yeah, we definitely need more we need the forensic testimony. There's just too much missing out. So that's what we'll do. I'll stream the stuff, the closing statements and the jury instructions in the morning, and then be back tomorrow night. And for anybody that missed it in the morning, and then we'll go over the forensics. Sound like a plan? All right, you guys, good night. Have a great day tomorrow if I don't see you. And if I do, and if I see it, and if you come back tomorrow night, you know what I mean. I'm sorry, I'm getting tired. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great Tuesday and a great rest of your Monday night. Okay, bye.